Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Pros podcast by Investor Fuel, the nation's premier real estate mastermind. I'm your host, Dylan Silver, and today on the show we have Nate Hare. Nate is the VP of Sales and Strategic Relationships at Directed IRA. He is a 12-plus year veteran in the self-directed IRA industry, spending most of his career as an executive. Nate, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate any opportunity to talk to real estate investors, my tribe.
Let's go. Let's jump right in. So before we talk in depth about how you can self-direct an IRA and use that as a vehicle for real estate investment, how did you get into the real estate space?
So I knew coming through college, I'd always had this vision of being a real estate investor. I didn't really know what that meant. So right out of college, I got my real estate license, realized I wasn't cut to show cupboards and cabinets and find people their primary residence, but I was always interested in the investment side of it. So I gravitated toward the mortgage industry. I always loved the numbers game of real estate. For 8 years, I was doing residential loans, buying and selling my own real estate. I had 17 rentals at one point at a very young age. And in 2012, I was recruited by a company out of Houston, Texas, to teach people how to invest in real estate with their retirement plans. Now, when I first heard this, I thought, hold on one second. My retirement plan, like my IRA, my 401k, that can buy real estate? How is that possible? It struck me for a loop because I never heard that I can buy real estate in my IRA, yet I had an IRA at Northwestern Mutual that had stocks and bonds and mutual funds. And when I went back to my tribe, which I thought was my tribe, my people that I worked with in the corporate real estate space, nobody was investing their retirement accounts into real estate, yet they all knew real estate better than the stock market. So this threw me on a quest at that point to find out, what are these self-directed IRAs and why aren't investors using them? Because it's the tax playbook that's available to all of us, yet very few real estate investors invest their retirement accounts into real estate. They invest into stocks because that's just the easy thing to do, yet they're more knowledgeable about real estate. So ever since 2012, I've been teaching real estate investors how to use self-directed retirement plans, how to invest in real estate, all types of real estate, loans secured by real estate, investing retirement accounts into syndications, commercial property, investing their retirement account into single family homes and having those homes be leveraged with debt. There's so many powerful tools that you can leverage with real estate inside of an IRA and literally get Uncle Sam off your back. And I still find great passion teaching it today because more investors need to understand how they work, especially if they're in real estate today.
Let's back up a couple steps here, Nate. For our folks who are maybe totally new to the investing space and they are vaguely familiar with an IRA, that there's some tax benefits there, what is an IRA in general?
So an IRA is an individual retirement account. It's much like a 401k. In a sense, they're both retirement accounts. retirement accounts by definition are tax exempt trusts. You put money in as the owner of the account, you invest it, and the trade-off with the IRS is they say if you invest in this account, we won't tax any of the gains. So that goes for 401ks, IRAs, rollover IRAs, HSAs, ESAs. They're tax exempt trusts. We don't pay taxes when we invest through the trust. We pay taxes on everything we invest outside of an IRA, but inside of an IRA or 401k, there's no taxation. And then if you go a little bit even further, there's not only accounts that have no taxation on the gains, but if you play your cards right, there's also accounts that have no taxation on the distributions. So if you can think about that we have these tax-free vehicles available to us, almost anybody can have them, even minors, and you understand real estate, why would you not be investing a retirement plan into real estate and eliminating Uncle Sam from the equation? Yet we're all trying to run this rat race and try to buy as much real estate as we can, pay Uncle Sam, and hope we get to retirement when we've got these tax exempt plans sitting right there available to all of us. Yet we invested in the stock market because that's all we think we can invest in.
Nick, excuse me, Nate. When you were saying all this, my head was going to all these different questions, and much like our listeners are probably thinking, I can invest my money into real estate tax free, but do I have to be 59? Like, I'm thinking in my head, well, there's got to be some gotcha.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
There's really no gotcha. I mean, the gotcha is when we talk about buying real estate inside of an IRA, I guess here's the gotcha. You have to find the real estate. There's no company out there that's going to sell you the real estate and provide the IRA at the same time. Now, most people are used to that with a Fidelity or Charles Schwab. If you've got an IRA with them, they're a licensed security agent. They sell financial products. So they're going to sell you stocks and mutual funds. If you want to have an IRA that you can buy real estate in, you have to work with a company like us, Directed IRA. Now, we're a licensed custodian, just like Fidelity is. We hold the assets in the retirement plan, but we don't sell the asset to the client. The client has to tell us, I want this rental property owned in my Roth IRA. I want to make a loan to this real estate investor out of my HSA. That's why we call it self-directed. That's why you hear this term self-directed IRA. But self-directed is not a type of IRA. It's a marketing term that we use to say, you can park your retirement funds here, but you have to tell us what the investment is. And by law, you have to work through a custodian to buy the investment and then work through the custodian to sell it so that all the gains come back to the retirement plan and not to you, the taxpayer. So I'll just break it down real simply. I'll give you just a boilerplate example of a client that I have in Houston, Texas. Okay, this client of mine has been buying rental properties in the name of his Roth IRA with us, right? He finds the properties, he negotiates the terms. The only difference is on the purchase contract, his self-directed Roth is the buyer, not him, not his LLC. Those are different people. His Roth IRA is the buyer. We sign the contract as the buyer and we send the funds to the title company. We can even send a down payment to the title company. He can even get a loan for the rest. But long story short, he's got 12 rental properties owned in his Roth IRA. The beautiful part about a Roth IRA is once you hit 59 and a half and you've had the Roth for 5 years, you pay no taxes on any distributions for the rest of your life. So these 12 rentals are kicking off rents into the Roth IRA. You have 12 renters paying rent into his Roth IRA, which pays no taxes. And since he has tax-free distributions above the age of 59 and a half, he just takes a distribution to himself every single month tax-free. Every single month, he gets $30,000 of tax-free rental income through his Roth IRA-owned rental properties. And meanwhile, his Roth IRA grows every single year because the homes appreciate in value. He's just living tax-free off the cash flow. That's the beautiful part about appreciating and cash flowing assets in a tax-free account is you get Uncle Sam off the grid. He'll never pay a dime in taxes on those assets ever again. And even better, when he dies, his heirs get that as an inherited Roth IRA, and they get tax-free income off the same assets for another 10 years past his life. That's how the rich get wealthy, and more investors need to understand how to do it.
Now, Nate, I'm going to ask some questions because I have them, and I'm imagining our audience has them. But don't give away all the game, Nate. If I'm asking too many
Okay.
questions,
Yeah.
let me know. Hey, they got to call me for that. But if folks are purchasing these properties inside this IRA, right, and they need to sell the property, are they effectively handcuffed until it's 59 and a half to sell the property, or are they able to do so?
They can sell it anytime they want. They just have to remember their Roth is the buyer. Their Roth, and I'm just giving an example of one account type. Okay.
Uh-huh.
The IRA is the buyer, the IRA is the owner, and the IRA is the seller. If he sells property and he's not 59 and a half, all that happens is the gains from the sale of that property go back to the IRA. There's no tax reporting on that. The IRA is not a taxpayer. All of the gain is tax exempt, so he can reinvest it into another property. It's only when the distributions, when he wants to take money to himself as a distribution, that's when it behooves him to be 59 and a half, so he's not taxed on the distributions. But as far as buying and selling assets in the IRA, you can sell them at any age. All the gains are tax exempt. You want to build it and build it and build it and build it until you're 59 and a half, until you start taking some money out for yourself.
So when he's 59, well, he or she is 59 and a half, and they go to take these distributions, they've got, I don't know how many properties you could have in an IRA, but they have a couple properties in there. They're not paying taxes or they're paying lesser taxes. They're not paying taxes?
Zero taxes. They're paying zero taxes. And that's the key. Zero, nothing, nil. There's no tax reporting. The taxes they paid were on the money they put into the Roth. Because how a Roth works is all the money you put in out of your pocket, you already paid your taxes to Uncle Sam. Say I got $5,000 in my back pocket. I made that off my earnings. I paid my taxes already. That $5,000 goes into a Roth, and I don't take a tax deduction on the contribution. It's different when you throw money in a traditional IRA because your CPA tells you to, because they want you to get the tax deduction.
Right.
Traditional and Roth can both be self-directed. The difference is my traditional IRA, I pay taxes when I take the money out. My Roth IRA, I don't. So it's just a different type of IRA you use. And I would say for anybody that can invest in real estate and take a small amount of money and make it larger, why would you want to pay taxes on the larger bucket? Pay taxes on the smaller bucket. I'll give you another quick scenario. I don't want to get too off in the weeds, but I have a client that bought 5 properties in Austin, Texas, with a $70,000 traditional IRA that he first converted to Roth. He knew he was going to have to grow this retirement account much bigger than 70 grand. Nobody retires on 70 grand.
Yeah, you can't.
So he paid the taxes on the traditional to convert to a Roth. And then he just leveraged his knowledge as an investor and bought 5 properties, seller financed and subject to. He just used a creative strategy to have the Roth as the buyer, and then the Roth carried back the notes or took over the payments on the houses. He did this back in 2012. He's got 5 properties now that he bought with leverage, with financing, or I should say his Roth bought with leverage, which was the financing, and renters have paid off this financing. So now today, his Roth IRA owns 5 properties free and clear. And since he did it in a Roth IRA, it's a $4 million Roth IRA, and he only had to pay taxes on $70,000 when he first converted. So that's a $3.9 million gain. He'll pay 0 taxes because that's how a Roth IRA works.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
So Nate, when I'm hearing all this, I'm thinking, everybody should be doing this. It's makes sense. I don't know why everyone isn't doing it. But I also think there's got to be a limit to this, right? Like, how many homes could you put in an IRA until they say, well, you got to pay some taxes?
Well, I mean, by tax law, there is no limit. There's no limit on how many investments you can do in a Roth. There's no limit on how much you can make. I'll even give you food for thought. We did have a little bit of I guess we did cause a ruffle in the industry a couple years back because we did have a self-directed IRA investor named Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel, if you guys don't know who Peter Thiel is, he's the co-founder of PayPal. He invested his self-directed IRA, Roth IRA, back when Facebook came about, when it wasn't a publicly traded company. If you guys have seen the movie on Facebook, well, the first investor was Peter Thiel. He didn't invest with his money. The real story is he invested with his self-directed Roth IRA. Well, now that investment that he made in his self-directed Roth has turned his Roth IRA into a $7 billion Roth IRA. The Uncle Sam can't tax it. As soon as that news came out that Peter Thiel had a $7 billion Roth IRA, the IRS came in and said, we're going to cap Roth IRAs to $4 million. We're going to do this. We're going to put income limits. They didn't do it. Okay. But that just goes to show you there is no limit on how much you can make in a retirement account. And if you're going to take a small amount of money and make it large, whether you're going to invest in real estate, private businesses, even cryptocurrency, all of those investments can be in an IRA or a self-directed Roth. And that's how you get Uncle Sam off of the grid. That's how you live off the grid, is just by doing it legally in an account that's not taxed to begin with, which are retirement accounts, which very few of us understand because they don't teach us
Right.
about this in school.
Nate, when we're hearing all of this and we're hearing about, no limits, but, we hear terms and it seems like you're waiting forever, 59 and a half. What I will say when I'm hearing this, though, is that if you're in real estate, the goal is not to make a quick buck. Nine
Mm-hmm.
times out of 10, I'm from the wholesale background. I just passed my real estate exam, so I'll be an agent here shortly. But
Mm-hmm.
you're not in the real estate space because you're trying to make money at the end of the week, nine times out of 10. It's a long-term generational play anyhow. So it
Yes.
only makes sense that if you have this option and you're going to be doing uh, this for wealth building purposes, that you put it in the IRA. I mean, that just makes sense to me.
Or you just be strategic with the investments that come across your desk. If I'm a wholesaler and I'm also running into deals that are good long-term holds, if I'm just narrowly focused on wholesaling because I need the money today, right? I'm passing deals that are good long-term deals. This is exactly the story with my client that bought 5 properties subject to.
Yeah.
He was still doing flips and short-term deals outside of his IRA because he's a full-time real estate investor. He's wholesaling and creating income for himself. But these deals that came across his plate back in 2010, 2012, these were deals that there was no equity in the property. The owners were behind in their mortgage payments. They would have to short sale the property. They were weeks away from foreclosure. The beginning real estate investors were passing because they looked and they said, there's no way to make money on this investment. There's no equity. He thought, I don't care about the equity because I want these owned in my Roth. My Roth, I can't touch the profits until later anyways. So as long as the property is in good condition, which they were, and the rents in the area cover the mortgage, I'll have my Roth buy it. My Roth will take over the payments, and I'll just put these investments on the shelf and let them ride, and then I'll check in on them 15 years later. He puts his property manager in place. So when you start thinking about the use of money, right, and how deals can be structured differently, and if I'm starting out in real estate, you want to widen your radar and say, okay, these deals are my deals because I need the money today. But
Right.
then these deals over here, these are good long-term deals. Let's throw those in my Roth. And I will also say, there's also accounts you can self-direct that you can use the money today. We have self-directed health savings accounts and self-directed education savings accounts if you're a parent that can be self-directed just like a Roth, but you can actually use the profits as soon as you make them tax-free to pay for health expenses for you and your family and education expenses for your kids. So there's 6 types of accounts that can be self-directed. Only 4 of them are for retirement. We have 2 accounts that you can use the money today. It's just, again, most investors don't know what they don't know. And that's what I enjoy about teaching this is, there's a lot of ways that we can get Uncle Sam off our backs for retirement purposes and to pay for expenses today if we just understand how the accounts work.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Nate, thinking outside the box here, are any folks using this or a similar type of strategy to acquire businesses?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. Again, Peter Thiel, same thing. I mean, he bought stock in Facebook stock. You can buy businesses. There's some catches there to buying businesses. One is you can't operate the business as the owner. So most of your retirement investments, I'll just say to keep it short and simple, is you got to be passive. It's got to be a passive investment. So you can invest in other people's businesses, but you just can't own and operate the business because that's just seen as a personal benefit to you. And the IRS doesn't want you using your retirement account to benefit you personally until you take distributions. That's how you benefit. So really, when it comes down to the assets you can own in an IRA, there's only two things you cannot own: life insurance contracts and collectibles. That's it. Outside of that, you can own anything in an IRA. You just have to find a company that's willing to hold the asset for you. So, it's good to have a Fidelity or Charles Schwab account because you want to be able to hold those publicly traded Wall Street assets. But if you want to invest in Main Street and buy rental properties, invest in syndications, commercial property, we have a lot of clients that do private money lending to real estate investors. Yep. That's what I do. I just own notes in my IRA. My notes get tax-free interest payments from the borrowers that I engage in events. If you want to invest in any of that, you just have to have an IRA with a company like us. And you can have as many IRAs as you want. So most of my clients, they have a brokerage account with Fidelity, but they have a self-directed account here that allows them to buy things that are not publicly traded, but more Main Street assets, not Wall Street.
Are there brokers and people in the finance space who are completely unaware of this? And so if you are somebody listening to this and you have an IRA and you go to whoever is managing your assets and you bring this idea to them, they might not know that you can feasibly do this.
Yeah, I mean, the better advisors understand how it works. Some advisors, they still don't know. I mean, you might have some listeners listen to this right now, and then they run to their Fidelity guy and they go, "Hey, I just listened to this crazy guy, Nate, talking about buying real estate in my IRA. So I want to do that." And then they'll say, "No, you're going to pay a bunch of taxes and penalties if you do that. You don't want to do that." What that advisor envisions you doing based on what you just told them is they think you're going to take all the money out of the IRA to go buy real estate. Okay, that would create a taxable event to you. You don't want to take the money out of the IRA to yourself because then it's not a retirement account. What we're doing is we're doing the same thing Fidelity does. When you push a button to buy stock, they exchange your IRA's asset of cash for an asset of a stock. They're the buyer, they're the seller. You just tell them what to buy and when to buy it.
Right.
It's the same thing with a self-directed IRA. We're the buyer, we're the seller. Just replace the word stock and put real estate. We exchange your asset of IRA cash for an asset of real estate. They hold a stock certificate, we hold a deed, right? They hold a bond, we hold a promissory note. We still show that it's evidence that it's an IRA investment, but you have to tell us what the investment is. So advisors sometimes don't even understand the process of it, that it's still a tax-exempt, tax-free investment because you're working through a custody or a retirement custodian like us. We're not giving you the money to go buy real estate because that would create a bunch of taxes and penalties that you don't want.
Now, Nate, when I think about the career of a real estate investor, I'm speaking for myself kind of selfishly, but also many people who are on the outside looking in, maybe thinking about wholesale in their future. You kind of go from networking on the outside. In my case, I was working at a Nissan dealership selling cars, to meeting a couple people, going to a RIA. I ended up in the wholesale space, sat to get my real estate license. My next step is I got to get a couple deeds in my name, hopefully get some short-term or maybe mid-term rentals. And then who knows, maybe scale from there. But I also know that I've seen a lot of people, a lot of people, specifically fix and flippers where the margins are getting lower, go from fixing and flipping to then lending money. And I don't know if most of them, I would imagine most of them are not lending it out of their IRA, but especially if you're near retirement age, which you
Mhm,
probably are closer if you're at that point where you have that
mhm.
nest egg and have been doing this for a while, it just seems like a win-win. And it seems like more people could and should be doing it.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this, and us lenders, we have a kind of a funny thing is a lot of us lenders are recovering landlords because we did all that and we understand, man, that is a headache. And trust me, I'm not taking anything away from the real estate owners because it's a lot of work.
It
Trust me,
is.
I know. And you guys make more money than us as lenders, but we still like real estate, right? We started in real estate. We like to just be the finance side of it, right? We don't want to deal with toilets and tenants, right? And I will say this, if you are not using an IRA to lend and you're lending out of your personal fund, you're doing it wrong. I will say that. I'm not giving investment advice, but here's why you're doing it wrong. When you lend money to somebody that's your money, there's no tax advantage to lending money. If I lend money as Nate Hare, right, to somebody, I pay taxes as ordinary income. That's reported to me. I don't get the depreciation. I don't get any tax benefits for lending my money. I get all the tax benefits lending out of my IRA. So I specifically make loans out of my Roth IRA and my health savings account because these are not taxable to me. Every interest payment I get from those loans is tax free for life.
Mm.
And I have two accounts that I'm lending at the same time, my Roth and my HSA. And I kind of mentioned earlier, we have accounts that I can use the profit today. The interest payments coming to my self-directed HSA, I can take and buy glasses tax-free. I can pay for prescriptions, dental work. I can use all of that profit completely tax-free, and I don't have to wait until 59 and a half. Have every penny I lend outside of an IRA taxable to me. Every penny in here not taxable to me. So there's a huge pendulum shift for lenders. That's why I will say lending is actually more common for the self-directed IRA investor because of that huge pendulum shift on the tax advantage. No tax advantage outside of an IRA, huge tax advantage inside of an IRA.
For folks that are older than 59 and a half, can they still take advantage of this, or it's kind of like a little bit, too late, they missed the boat?
No, no. I mean, at any age, any time. I've got stories for days. I have a guy that started an IRA at 55, and he did his first self-directed deal with a $5,000 Roth IRA. He took down a hoarder house. It was actually 10,000. He made 2 years of contributions. He took down a hoarder house in a rough part of town. Took down a hoarder house and didn't know what to do with it. Owned the hoarder house, but didn't have any money to demo the property, and they wanted to build two new townhomes. So what they did is his Roth IRA that owned the property did a joint venture with a construction company, a local construction company that brought in all the construction costs. And as a part of the joint venture, they said, we'll build the two new townhomes, but we'll split the profit, the net profit 50-50 at the time of sale.
Yeah.
So the Roth was the buyer, the Roth was the owner, a joint venture partner comes in as the construction company. Long story short, they demoed the property, built two new townhomes, sold them retail, and that client's first investment, he made $297,000 tax-free in his Roth IRA. He was 57 when he did this deal. Okay. And again, so it doesn't matter when you start. It's about how do I have an investment that makes sense to do that I don't want to pay taxes on. That investment's good either way.
Yeah.
But if he does that as an individual, what's 40% minus two, times 297? That's the amount of taxes he would
Right.
lose on that deal. So he said, no, this is such a good deal. I'm doing this tax free, not taxable. So at any age, a self-directed IRA is something every investor should look at, especially if they've got real estate deals coming across their pipe and they're knowledgeable about real estate. You should be considering self-directing an IRA of some sort to get Uncle Sam off your back.
At what point does it, if this is your full-time career, you're a real estate investor, at what point do you have to be concerned with maybe it being considered active income? Maybe it's
Mhm.
an Airbnb situation, and so you
Yeah.
have it, and you're realizing, I don't know if this is going to get me flagged as active income. Is that a concern?
So there's nothing prohibited or wrong with having active income in an IRA. The only problem is active income becomes taxable in an IRA. Just think about it like this. I'll break it down to more like a business. If my IRA was going to buy a Pizza Hut, it can own a Pizza Hut. I can't run it, but it can own it. But the IRS says, you know what? We're not going to have IRAs own businesses and have the business income tax free. We got to level the playing field so that these people that own businesses outside of an IRA aren't hurt. So if it's a business where the investment is creating ordinary income, active income, you're running a business or a trade, you can do it in an IRA. It's just taxable to the IRA. So a lot of times when you talk about real estate, your Airbnbs, hotels, things that are considered, not real estate, but more of a business.
Right.
Sometimes those are better outside of an IRA. But that's the whole thing. This self-directed IRA topic it's not an either or. It's a when should I invest outside of my IRA and when should I do it inside? You're going to find investments that fit better in one or the other, but you don't just do one and don't do neither. It's not a pick or choose. It's a this investment fits better here, this investment fits better here, but I'm going to do both because this is going to get me to the finish line much faster by getting taxes off of at least some of these investments.
Yeah, I mean, eggs in one basket is never a good strategy, especially because the basket could get thrown away. I mean, I'm in Dallas area, and we love Airbnb out here, but in Addison, which is one of the parts of DFW Metro, about 2 years ago, they got rid of Airbnb. You couldn't do the short-term rental, right?
Yeah.
So being able to diversify and have that agility, and like I was earlier saying, you have fix and flippers who are now becoming more and more, as I've seen, note buyers and hard money lenders and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Nate, I know no one has a crystal ball per se, but where do you see maybe a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, this niche expanding to?
It's already expanded. I will say in the last 7 to 8 years, we've seen the biggest pendulum shift towards retirement accounts be invested in alternative assets. Alternative assets are just all the things we hold. Real estate's one of them, but I kind of mentioned cryptocurrency, mineral rights, oil and gas, small private businesses, bank stock, private de novo bank stock. There's all these other investments out there. Based on what we've seen in the economy the last 5, 6, 7 years, most investors are not sold on Wall Street. They're not sold on the fact that they can't predict it. The market is based on news and emotion. People just don't like to have their retirement tied to these assets that they don't have control over. But now with the age of information and the fact that you can go on, and even if you're not a savvy real estate investor, you can go online and find real estate in pretty much any city, any country by just logging in online. Now we've seen investors get a little bit smarter and go, oh, wait, I can invest in other things. I don't have to just buy stocks and bonds. See, these self-directed IRAs have been around since the mid-'70s. The rich and the wealthy have been using them since the mid-'70s. There's even been IRS audits that show the higher performing IRAs are the ones that have the larger majority of alternative assets in them. But most people still don't have a single alternative asset in their retirement account because they just don't know that the option is there. As people realize the option is there and I know where to find the investment, now people are starting to gravitate. So they say that the self-directed IRA industry stands to be a $35 trillion industry by 2030, 2035. So it's a growing, it's the largest asset class growing in the retirement industry is the alternative asset space. So we're excited about that.
And to our listeners, we are coming up on time here, Nate. Where can folks go to get a hold of you?
Yeah, they just go to www.directedira.com, directedira.com. I encourage anybody to book a call with one of my sales team, my IRA account executive team. They can book a call with me, but we've got 9 or 10 highly experienced account executives that can walk you through the process, ask you where your retirement accounts are, talk about how you move them, talk about the tax advantages and how to use the self-directed IRA once it's here. So just go to directedira.com. You'll find a bunch of education and a way to get a hold of me and my team.
Well, I learned so much, and I'm sure our listeners listening, if you weren't already aware that you could buy real estate tax-free in an IRA, reach out to Nate. And I think it's an amazing tool that more people should be utilizing as part of their retirement plan. Nate, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I had a lot of fun.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.